Smoking is becoming a massive issue in Australia. Every year, around 24,000 Australians die from smoking and smoking-related diseases. Smoking cigarettes is the leading preventable cause of death in Australia, as 1 in 8 Australian deaths is caused by tobacco use. 90% of smokers start smoking regularly at age 18 and usually have tried their first cigarette by around 16. Despite Australia's 2.8 million regular smokers, Australia is the world's most expensive country to be a smoker, closely followed by New Zealand. A pack of cigarettes in Australia would on average set you back around $35, compared to around $8 in the US. Annually, $14 billion is spent in Australia on cigarettes. Every year, over 20 billion cigarettes are smoked in Australia, and over 7 billion cigarette butts end up in the environment. Although some people think that the Australian government does enough to prevent smoking, I still believe that smoking should become illegal in Australia. Every year, around 5 million people die from tobacco-related illnesses. Smoking causes lung cancer, heart disease, diabetes, blood clots, and can increase your chance of having a stroke. With every inhalation of cigarette smoke, over 5,000 different chemicals enter the body. Firstly, tar from cigarette smoke coats your teeth and gums. Smoke also damages nerve endings in the nose, causing loss of smell. Smoking increases your chance of infection in the lungs and airways, as well as diseases such as emphysema and bronchitis. This happens when smoke damages the cilia, small hairs whose job it is to keep airways clean. Carbon monoxide then enters the blood, binding to hemoglobin, which displaces oxygen throughout the body. This is the main reason why smokers experience a lack of oxygen and shortness of breath. The chemicals found in cigarettes will also cause constriction of blood vessels. This constriction of the blood vessels leads to blood platelet stickiness, which increases the chance that blood clots will form. Blood clots can trigger heart attacks and strokes, which kill 6,500 Australians every year. This is just one of the reasons why smoking should be illegal in Australia. Have you ever felt peer pressured or tempted to smoke a cigarette when you were younger? Most people who smoke cigarettes all their life started when they were in their teens. In the past, cigarettes were advertised to young people in the form of cartoons and as product placement in popular shows and movies. Nowadays, it is legal to advertise smoking to children, but big tobacco companies use sneaky methods to expose children to smoking. An example of one of these methods used is shops putting cigarettes close to lollies so that they can catch a young person's eye. While tobacco advertisement is illegal in Australia, many other countries around the world still promote smoking to young people. In young people's eyes, smoking cigarettes were also thought to be cool and made children want to start smoking, not knowing what cigarettes would do to their health. Tobacco companies focus on young people because they know that they are killing their current customers, and they know that once someone starts smoking, it is very difficult to quit. When you smoke a cigarette, your blood carries nicotine to the brain, triggering the release of dopamine and endorphins, which create the addictive sensation that smokers desire. This makes smoking highly addictive and very hard to quit. This is yet another reason why smoking should be illegal. Have you ever seen a cigarette butt on the ground or floating in water? I'm sure you have. Around 6 trillion cigarettes are smoked around the world every year, and 2/3 or 4 trillion of these cigarette butts are littered into the environment. Cigarette butts are then carried by drains into oceans and beaches. When these cigarette butts pollute the ocean, they end up being eaten by marine life such as fishes and lobsters. This is bad for our marine ecosystems, as many sea creatures die from swallowing this litter in the ocean. Cigarette butts are also toxic, as cigarettes contain over 165 chemicals that contaminate waterways. It has been proven that just 1 cigarette per litre of water is enough to kill 50% of all the fish swimming nearby. Smoking doesn't just cost us the environment, it costs individuals as well. Over $20 billion is spent every year on tobacco in Australia, compared to the United States' $80 billion a year. This means that Australians spend around $120 billion on cigarettes and treating preventable conditions every year. This is yet another reason why cigarettes should be banned in Australia. Although most people think that the Australian government does enough to discourage people from smoking, I think that the Australian government should ban cigarettes altogether. Australia does more than any other country to promote people not to smoke. One of the strategies the Australian government uses is putting graphic images of various diseases and conditions that can be contracted by smoking on boxes of cigarettes. Another strategy Australia uses is taxing cigarettes very highly. This is the main reason why cigarettes in Australia cost so much. It is to discourage people from smoking. Although Australia does more to discourage smoking than most other countries, I still believe that the Australian government needs to ban smoking to ensure the safety and health of its citizens. These are just some of the reasons why I think smoking should become illegal in Australia. It is detrimental to your health. The cigarette industry targets young people as potential customers. It is highly addictive. It is bad for the environment. It is very expensive, and even though the Australian government does a lot to discourage smoking, they still need to ban smoking altogether. Some countries are already phasing out smoking, such as New Zealand, where people born after 2008 will never be able to legally buy cigarettes in their lifetime. This is an attempt to make sure that young people never start smoking. I think that Australia should follow New Zealand's footsteps and start phasing out smoking. I will leave you with this request. Next time one of your friends picks up a pack of cigarettes or plans to start smoking, make sure you inform them just how detrimental smoking is to not just their health, but to the environment and to the community. Thank you for your time.